let's talk about a very vital part of our learning curve, and especially a child's learning curve, which is play. Play is to a child what flight is to a bird. Now, the very word play brings a smile to your face, a cheer, a feeling of wellness, a feeling of being totally relaxed. And perhaps that's because we attach no expectations, no assessments, there's no fear of being judged when we are at play. Isn't that so? So, play is what? Play is exploration of the environment. Play helps children to indulge in trial and error, to build bonds, to build resilience, to know what works, what doesn't work. Play doesn't have a fixed definition. It is a vastly rich word. Play is more than what you and I think. It is a way for the child to familiarize themselves with the world while exploring and testing their own limits. So, in this regard, it wouldn't be wrong to say that play is the business of every child. That's a lovely statement, that play is the business of every child. Now let's bring to our mind Froebel, the German educationalist who's best known as the originator of the kindergarten system of education. By kindergarten, he meant a garden for children. He meant that children need to be nurtured like plants in a garden. So in other words, he actually meant for a place for children below the age of compulsory education, where they come and play and learn. Because he wanted them to play and learn, he put a lot of emphasis on play and the use of gifts and occupations in the kindergarten system. By gifts, he meant the play material, the learning tools, the learning aids, as you may call it. And by occupation, he meant activities, learning by doing. So therein, play is equal to learning. And in the earlier talk, remember we discussed about learning. Learning means acquiring a new skill, a value, a behavior, or a practice, etc. Once again, let us reaffirm that to acquire any skill, for any learning to take place, it involves three aspects: the muscles, the senses, the brain. Right? All these three are involved in any learning process. Not one, not two. Please note. And when learning is implemented or practiced, it becomes a change. Now, for learning to be implemented, to become a permanent affair or a change, it involves the brain, the muscles, and the senses. So to all of us who think that play is optional because it doesn't involve the brain or it doesn't involve the senses, just a time pass, a behavior that can be indulged in whenever the child has free time. Well, I think the learning on the wall is very clear that play is a science because it involves all three: the muscles, the senses, and the brain. So then, in that aspect, doesn't play become learning? Why do we consider play as the best form of learning? Well, the answer to that is as simple as this. Because play is natural, play is spontaneous, it comes so easily to every child, it's fun, it's not at all stressful, children never get tired of playing, it kindles their curiosity, they indulge in 100 trials and errors, they are always engaged in play, they are mostly in a joyful state, they are socially interactive, they are physically active, they are cognitively active, and there it is. When children are active, joyful, and happy, they learn more. Children dare to learn when they feel safe. And they feel the safest when they are at play. That you can take as a guaranteed fact. So can play lead to holistic development? Yes, of course. Play is not just about developing physical skills. Play is about multiple skill development. Accordingly, we just need to provide multiple stimuli to the child and not give the child just a bat and a ball or a racket and a tennis or a skating shoe. That's just not play. Play means, give them stimuli outside their textbooks. If you want them to get mathematical skills, let them play with numbers and weights and measures and meters and centimeters outside the textbook. Okay? So let's not confine play to a narrow definition. We often think of play as a separate time. 5 p.m. is your play time. You can study now and go to play later. The two should not be separate. The two should be merged. Play does not mean walling off children into special places. We have to make their lessons, we have to make their study periods as playful, as enjoyable, as happy as possible. So are children, playing only when they're sitting with some toys? No. That is a very orthodox statement, a very outdated statement of play. So play is not a break from learning. Play is learning. We've already discussed that play is the best form of learning. So whatever is the best form of learning will naturally be so appropriate for child development, isn't it? Because play lays the basis for all kinds of literacy, be it alphabetic, numerical, or emotional. It is through play that children learn to make and practice new sounds, try out new vocabulary with their friends, their peers, the teachers, the parents. They exercise their imagination through storytelling, thereby building communication skills. They discover new skills and abilities while interacting with their environment. It helps children to make choices. What is good for me? Does this play is good for me, or do I enjoy sand more? It builds patience when they indulge in trial and error. It builds flexibility. You never see children give up when they are playing. They will carry on. In fact, very often we adults have to drag them away from a specific play activities. So it helps them to face their fears. When they are playing, they don't think of it as a failure or a success. They just play. And spontaneously they're learning along because they're having fun. So look at all the important life skills that we are building, isn't it? What is education after all? Education is academics and life skills, and the two have to be interwoven, right? So they cannot be separate. So when the child is playing, you are building literacy along with life skills. And of course, children need different types of play because as children grow and develop, play also evolves. From dolls and role plays, children will move to Legos and robotics and coding. From peekaboo and hide and seek, they will evolve to hopscotch and logori. From playing catch, they will evolve to football and tennis and competitive sports. So it's in the nature of play as well to evolve, provided the child has been given the opportunity for play and freedom of choice. And one more point which we must keep in mind is that children need structured and unstructured play. Structured play is one which has rules, boundaries, timelines, specific conduct rules, right? Like a game of Ludo perhaps, or a game of cricket, But on the other hand, free play is unbridled, unfettered. Here is a ball and a ring. Do what you want with it. You may create a story with it, toss it in the air, drag it on the ground, make your own timelines, make your own rules, maybe make a rhyme around it, think that you're Sachin Tendulkar or maybe Sania Mirza. Do whatever you choose. That's unstructured play. So it's very important that children be exposed to structured and unstructured play, because that is building the foundation of the 21st century skills in education that we often talk about, which are collaboration, critical thinking, communication, creativity, and the king of all, confidence. Alright, so we will talk about types of plays in the next video, but meanwhile, get playing and let your child play. Let your child explore and be unfettered. In fact, why don't we adults also go back to play as being a very important tool in our learning curve? Worth a thought.